Hello, everyone. My name is Blake Richter, and I teach at Inman Intermediate in Nixa, Missouri. I'm going to facilitate this little conversation about the General Music webinar featuring Taylor Shaeffer from John Thomas School of Discovery in Nixa, Missouri. He's been teaching for 7 years, and he currently teaches kindergarten through 6th grade music. Taylor, wave your hand so everybody can see you.
Hello.
Awesome. There he is. Then we have Bethany Unruh from Kansas, Manchester Park Elementary, Olathe, Kansas, 1st through 5th grade music. This is her 3rd year of teaching. Bethany, say hello so everybody can see who you are.
Good morning.
Hello, hello. And then we have Ashley Kempt. She is a K through 6th grade music teacher at Coleman Elementary in St. Joseph, Missouri. This is her 20th year of teaching. Is that correct? Ashley?
That is correct.
Awesome. Cool. And then we have Justin Orscheln, who teaches at Lillian Schumacher. He told me to do an achlaut there. Schumacher Elementary in Liberty, Missouri, K through 5th grade music. Justin, say hello so we know who you are.
Good morning, everybody.
Look at that cat. Let me tell you. That's beautiful. Well, cool. So I'm going to ask some different questions, and then we'll let our speakers speak. And at the end, we will have about 10 minutes of questions and maybe other suggestions as well. So first, my question for all of you is just how have you been coping through this online learning journey? And now all of our schools are out for the rest of the year, which really, really stinks. So how have you been coping with that? Let's start with Taylor.
Yeah, it's been a mixed bag, quite honestly. Like for parts of it, I've been really frustrated. Other times I've been really excited about how kids are learning to send me videos online so I could see what they're doing at home. I've also been frustrated with some limitations that have been put on us, I feel like, as music educators, and sad, quite honestly, that I don't get to see my students create music with them. Like 2nd grade was supposed to do their performance a week after spring break, and they don't get to do that anymore, which is really, really sad. But it's working through, there's so many emotions, I feel like. But overall, I think that online is starting, it's getting better each week. And so that's the hopeful part. So I try to look at the silver lining of it, but there's been a range of emotions, quite honestly.
Yeah, for sure. Bethany, what about you?
A lot of what Taylor said. I mean, I initially and still have been pretty heartbroken, just feeling like that time was stolen away from me with my kids. But we're just taking it day by day and trying to do my best. I'm a super extrovert living with an introvert, so like pray for us. We'll see how we're doing in a couple of weeks. But for the most part, just like Taylor said, trying to find ways to still connect with my kids and kind of finding creative solutions to those things like programs being canceled and what have you.
Yeah. And for those of you that don't know, Bethany just came off of a KMEA performance. So her choir performed at the Kansas Music Educators Association. So that's awesome. She got to do that at the end of February. And then, yeah, it's really unfortunate that the time got stolen away. And me being an extrovert as well, I feel the same. Feel the same. Well, cool. Ashley, what about you?
I would say very similar to the other speakers as well. I would say in our district, we have a high free and reduced group of kids that are suffering with that digital divide, which I know we're going to talk about later. But I know that that's been a big struggle for our kids to cope in those kind of mechanisms as well. We had a program at the end of this month planned, and of course that got canceled. We've got very disappointed kids and parents, obviously, but I tried to do my best to think forward about how am I going to cope with those kids next year? What am I going to do to make that performance extra special for that same group of kids next year, and just move that performance up to two different grade levels instead. Also for me, I direct a children's choir out of Missouri Western, and that is obviously canceled as well. And that was going to be our final year of that choir. And so we're having to say goodbyes in every aspect. And that's really been difficult. As far as personally. I can also say that as a parent trying to teach my own child at the same time I'm trying to teach 380 children is a huge struggle. And even though he's a really, really good little guy, he's kindergarten. He needs mommy's help. He needs teacher's assistance, and he constantly craves that attention. Having to go through the emotional ups and downs of him realizing that he's not going to get back with his friends and his teachers has taken emotional tolls on me as well. But I would say that's kind of how, a lot of parents and teachers are feeling at the same time.
Yeah, for sure. I love that idea of combining 2 of the grades for the performance for next year. I haven't heard anybody say that yet, so that's an awesome idea. Justin, I forgot to say you've been teaching for 9 years. What about you, sir?
I mean, kind of what others said, it's been kind of a mixed bag. I've been encouraged to see how adaptable and on the fly both students and teachers can be when it comes to taking charge of their learning, even digitally, but it's also been challenging. This is my first year actually in this building and district, and forging those relationships has been everything for me. It's been the backbone of my instruction. So to spend all year on creating those bonds to now knowing I won't get a chance to say goodbye, it almost felt like a microcosm of what a loss feels like, especially like my 5th graders. Like there's just not going to be any closure. In addition to that, it's been tough because about 4 months ago, I took in 2 foster kids who have been through some serious trauma and big transitions this year. And ditto to what Ashley said, as a parent, parenting these kids and teaching these kids through this pandemic, who get really triggered by transitions and change. It's been challenging. And I bring it up because I think of my own building. We're about a 30% free reduced lunch rate. And I think of those students who have gone through similar adverse childhood experiences that maybe don't have secure food or loving parents like mine do. And I feel this deep sadness and this weight on my shoulders that I can't be there for those kids like I used to be. So it's been tough. It's been tough.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so the next question for you guys is, what has been your strategy or strategies for continuing instruction during this time? What different apps have you been using, different learning management systems, stuff like that? Taylor, why don't you go first?
It's been a mixed bag. It's been, generally I use Google Slides for all of my lessons, because, anyone can access that. I embed my MP3s into it, so parents can't download it, but they can at least listen to music. And I have made my own, I make my own videos of teaching them stuff. I try to make things interactive, 1 thing per lesson. So I'll add, like, for instance, kindergarten and 5th grade, where it was adding the like either popsicle sticks or like breaking chopsticks or sticks to make different notes, and like tas and TTs, and making sure that they're making music that way. I'm also using YouTube videos to try to use this time to show different performances that I otherwise wouldn't. Like, here's an awesome choir, here's a great orchestra, listen to Beethoven here, or listen to all these great performances that I wouldn't feel justified in the 15 minutes I have in class to do. I'm trying to add those different things in that, this actually pertains and actually helps them in some instance. So I try to give at least 1 song per grade that they're singing every single week, and then I try to supplement with a different activity as well.
Yeah, and Taylor and I teach in the same district and have been collaborating a little bit. And our district, I don't know about your guys' districts, but I know a lot of districts are trying to not overwhelm a lot of parents. So what we've done is they've limited us to 2 30-minute lessons per week per grade. So, us being people who like to do a lot more than that, it's been kind of hard to just scale it back, but we have to remember, these kids, they don't need to be overwhelmed. And also our district is focused a lot on at-home learning rather than online learning. So we've been trying to not use a ton of online tools and trying to get them outside and do different things as well. So Bethany, what about you? What strategies have you been using?
I will say I have been focusing more on connection than content. I think our district has kind of put a blanket plan in place, which has been really nice. It's taken the pressure off individual teachers. And in my handout at the end, I've linked to that if you want to see an example of it. But the music department has kind of divided up weeks, and teachers have taken, we'll create the lesson for this week and whatever. So as far as what I'm doing, our specialist team created a Facebook page and then added a bunch of parents. And we've just been each taking a day and posting, here's a fun, quick activity you can do. For example, I had kids found sounds in their kitchen and then do a kitchen band with Lynn Kleiner. And then I posted some YouTube rhythm play-alongs, just things that they can do easily at home. And then also a video of my face, like, hey, I'm here for you. I love you. I'm thinking about you, because with our continuous learning, it's from a paper and it's not a teacher that they know. So for me to be able to get on and just check in with kids and say, hey, show me a picture of your kitchen band, that's gotten some good interaction going. We also use Seesaw. We have a school subscription, so I've been posting activities there. And then all of our classroom teachers are doing class meetings over Zoom. So the specialists have requested to just get on those and participate with the classes. The best part of that has been my third graders who were supposed to have a program last week. We did like a Zoom program. So it was just by class. It wasn't the whole thing. But we sang their favorite songs. I had all of them mute themselves, and then they could just hear me. That way the delay was not an issue. So it was amazing to just see each of their little faces doing all the motions, going for it, and then they got to say their lines for their class, and that was such a highlight for me. And I know that I got several emails after that saying, my kid can't stop singing and smiling. And so just making those connections and seeing each other's faces and going, hey, I'm here for you. I care about you. That's been my biggest focus.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. And that's one of the most important things we can do as music teachers right now. Awesome. Ashley, what about you? What strategies have you been using?
I can say that our district is a very big Google Classroom contributor. So the first day I got on there and I was trying to build our own specials Google Classroom, and that was fantastic. But trying to access the parents' emails and the student emails, and I got them all sent out. But a lot of our students just simply do not have that email access. We have, I believe, 25 different languages spoken at home in our school, or in our school alone, in our 380 kids that we have, representing about 19 different countries. So many of them have such a huge divide that they don't know how to access that, but their parents may not have Wi-Fi, or they may not have internet access at home, or they have to wait for their parent to return from home or from work to get on their phone, and they only have phone access to get some of those things. So that's been a real challenge. But the first thing I did was I started emailing all of our teachers and saying, can you add me as a co-teacher on your Google Classroom? And so they did. And that's been the main way that I have accessed our kids, because they've all been added through their regular classroom time. So it's been really wonderful to Zoom bomb them and hop in as a special guest and get to talk with them. I agree with Bethany and Taylor. A lot of ours is that element of connection, because our kids feel really lost right now, and making sure that you remember to let them know that they're safe, and to let them know that they're still cared about, and that you're disappointed too. And this is not all fun and games for you either, and that this is taking us completely out of our comfort zone, but let's try something new, I think is really, really important. I also do Seesaw for my recorder kids, who this would be like the big time of our recorder learning. And so they'll send me in their recorder karate recordings that they have to test for belts, and then I'm going to take care of that in the fall. But honestly, making those connections. A lot of my evenings have been spent, I'll read books with my son, and we'll put those on our school website, and our teachers have been doing that and reading bedtime stories to our kids and making those connections. And then they'll get on Facebook and they'll talk to me. I don't know about anybody else, but I know that we have a lot of kids suffering from a lot of anxiety And I've gotten emails, private emails and private messages, you know, just wanting to talk through things. And of course, I make sure to forward all those things to my administrator, just for my own protection. But a lot of kids don't have an adult at home to talk to. We have about 80 to 90% free and reduced in our district. So we have a lot of kids that are in need, and they need those adult interactions to do so. As far as lessons themselves specifically, I do a lot of making sure, just like Taylor was talking about, those listening experiences that kids don't normally always get, because we're so pushed at 50-minute periods to get through so much. I make sure, have you gone out and listened to the birds today? What are you listening to when you go outside? Those kind of simple things. Go out and make a stomp exercise and give them an example of stomp, and go out and play basketball and write a stomp rhythm. But also Music Play Online is an excellent resource. And right now, Denise Gagne has opened up Music Play Online for kids. And they've got all those learning activities. And you just give them the passcode and everything, and they get on and they do the lessons themselves. And that's really been beneficial. But I've tried really to get away from teaching so much new content, because it's really against my morality that I'm denying education to a whole segment of our kids right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that you're just providing enrichment activities and not necessarily new content. Taylor and I did an activity this past week where we had them go outside and, just listen. We had them listen to John Cage's 4 minutes and 33 seconds and said, can you believe this is actually a piece of music, where they just sit in silence? And then we had them go outside, and a lot of them were like, I've heard that sound so many times, but I've never really paid attention to what it is. So it makes them pay attention. I love it. Mm-hmm. Justin, what about you? What different strategies?
I think I had to think about what my mentality was first before I actually started focusing on content. So I am trying to remember that less is more, be flexible, focus on relationships, knowing if basic needs are met. I'm trying to leverage social media a little bit and try to remain socially connected. For me, we are part of a building where Seesaw, every teacher has Seesaw, and I've been a co-teacher there all year, so that's not new news. So, and there are so many great Seesaw activities that are available on Seesaw that you can just push out at the click of a button, and it's really easy to actually make Seesaw activities as well. I've been using Google Slides a lot with the Pear Deck add-on. A colleague told me about Pear Deck, and it's a really cool way to add an extra element of interactivity with your lessons. As far as what I am pushing out, I'm trying to keep it light. I'm not really pushing out much new content. I really am treating it as enrichment, because like Ashley said, we come from a district where Wi-Fi is not an expectation. It's a luxury for some kids. And I think about those kids that even do have Wi-Fi that might be spotty or low quality. So I try to have a little empathy and try not to teach meaty content for the remainder of the year. For my kiddos in third grade, we would be in the middle of our recorder unit right now also, and they're pretty bummed about that. So we do some recorder karate. There is a YouTube channel, Visual Musical Minds, which is a really good resource as well. But I try to push out a 30 to 50 minute activity a week that's very low maintenance, gets kids exploring music and having fun and moving their bodies, going outside. And that's been very beneficial. And parents are very grateful also that it's no setup, explore, have music, and break up the day from doing reading and math and all that stuff.
That's awesome. Well, cool. Oh, go ahead, Bethany.
Sorry, I just wanted to add one thing. I also am a director of the Prelude Choir for the Youth Chorus of Kansas City. So that's 3rd through 6th graders. And we usually meet on Monday nights, but, as Ashley said, that choir is not going to happen anymore either. So we've been trying to connect with those kids and do like virtual spirit days. So each Monday we put out a virtual Monday thing. We've done show us your dogs, show us your favorite hand washing song. What song are you singing while you wash your hands for 20 seconds? Or share your favorite choir memory. And we've gotten a lot of good interaction with families and kids that way. If you're thinking about retention in the future, how are we going to maintain these relationships and get kids to come back to an extracurricular thing? So that's one thing that's been working well for that.
It's awesome. I've seen some of those videos and they're great. So some of you guys have talked about this, so it doesn't have to be a super long answer, but if you haven't elaborated on it, you can now. Do you have a significant digital divide in your district? And if so, how are you handling that? I know for our district, we don't have a huge digital divide. So like my school of 400 kids, there's only 11 of them that need paper packets. But have any of you had other things to deal with? Taylor, let's start with you.
Yeah, I won't say much because, like you said, Nixa really, if like we have 1-to-1 from second grade all the way through, so basically second grade through 12th grade. So, and then Nixa has partnered with internet providers, so they have free internet. Those that don't, they'll have free internet for the next 2 months until school ends. So even if, they don't, they have access to it in some way. If they really want to, they can. And so I'm going to kind of let other people answer that have a bigger divide, but that's just generally what Nix is doing.
Yeah. Bethany.
Our district does have a significant divide, and I teach at a school that's much higher SES, so we're on the side, like you were saying, of most of our kids have access. So that's why we've been using Facebook and Seesaw and things like that. But that's also why our district has kind of pushed out this overarching thing where they can make it into a packet for kids to pick up, and there's not a huge amount of internet and video links that are needed, just so that there is equity. And that's part of why they're also encouraging us to not overwhelm families, not send out a lot of extra stuff, which has been frustrating at times, but we are trying to really make sure that everybody's getting their fair chance to get the stuff out. So
yeah, for sure. Ashley, how about you?
There we go. As I've said, we've got a very large divide. One of the things that we've noticed that has been a big problem is we had our main internet provider in our town has said, yes, we will provide free internet. But if at any time those folks in the community have had that service and they've gone late on a payment, they will not be eligible for that service. So that's huge. I mean, a lot of our parents have had late payments. They've had some debt that they've fallen into, and especially now with so many parents that have lost jobs and so many stressors at home, that's a huge contributor. We do provide paper packets, and one of the things that I think our district has done really well on, every week they submit a menu of items in every different content area that our curriculum advisors have put together to help support parents at home. And they're very simple activities that they can do to just help support in the arts and in science and social studies and so on, just to help parents understand what they can do to help support their children at home. And I think that's really, really important, because a lot of our parents, they don't have even the ability to go and get the paper packets from our drop-off spots. So that's a really important thing. Our third graders through sixth graders took Chromebooks home, so they do have those. But for our K2 kiddos, they don't have those unless they have those resources at home.
Yeah, cool. Justin, how about you?
We are in a building that is 1-to-1, so that's beneficial, but like all our other people have said that Wi-Fi is not a guarantee. We do have paper packets available. Something that I like that my principal does is he has an Excel sheet of if for all classroom teachers, if a parent has not checked in with you this week, I need to know that way if they're missing resources or if they're not checking their email. That's good for him to know. So I look at that Excel sheet every week, and if there are parents in each class that don't have access or who haven't been responding to emails, I've been calling them through PowerSchool, not to bother them, but just to make sure that relationship piece is still there with students, just to check in and say hello, because obviously the Flipgrid videos or Seesaw videos or lessons may not be getting to them, but it's just another way for me to reach out and say, even if you can't see in an email or in a video that I care about you, I still do. And the content will come later in the packets, and they are simple activities also, and I really like that Liberty values the arts enough to include it. But yeah, that's what's been working for us right now.
Awesome. Cool. And then before we get into your little resource that you guys are going to share, some of you talked about this, but I think one of the most important things we could do is to keep those strong relationships with students going during this time. But it's kind of hard as a general music teacher. You know, have 400, 500 kids, or, you know, however many kids that come to your classroom every week. How do you keep all of those relationships going? So some of the different strategies that you guys have used to either have smaller, like Google Meet sessions or Zoom sessions, or, you know, just communicating and doing videos through Seesaw. Share some of those different ideas that you've used. Taylor, do you have anything that you've been doing to keep those relationships going?
Relationships, yeah. You know, the biggest thing is Seesaw. I've started, well, first, kindergarten, first grade, I read them a book. I brought home a lot of my books. So I do a lot of the music books once a week, where I will have them watch that. So that way they can, there's a music aspect, but just there's a relational aspect, because that's some of their favorite parts of music is the music books. And so I'm adding the literacy in there as well. So we do that so they can physically see me. This week, I'm going to start adding some more to our Facebook page as well. In terms of Seesaw, that last week is where it's starting to ramp up. I'm trying to see if I can get more kids to post on Seesaw. The ones that I did, it was really, really funny what I got. It was just really a great way. I mean, one mom said, sorry about the underwear shot. He was in kindergarten, but he's like, sorry about him being in his underwear, but he really wanted to show you music. And so he's like singing his song in his underwear, like, go buddy go, you know. So it was very interesting. But like, who knows what you're gonna get, but you know, they wanted to show you their music, and that was the important part. And so we're really that's what I'm looking for, is to see if we can equip our parents to, like, here, just, you know, the kids know how to use Seesaw, so it's like, okay kids, just take a picture of what you're doing, or video yourself singing the song, or a song, or any song, just to know that they're singing and they're sharing it with you. That's how I'm trying to communicate that with kids. So that, and then I'll write a comment. Anyone that posts, I write at least one comment, you know, so that way they know that I'm listening and they have that connection.
Awesome. Bethany, what about you?
Well, I mentioned the Facebook page, and same thing with Taylor, just commenting and interacting with anybody who posts, because I think we're all finding that not as many people are interacting and doing the things as we would like them to. You know, ideally, when I post, all 500 of my kids are going to look at it and interact, but that's not the reality. And so anybody that is responding, I am just making that connection with. Another thing I've been doing that I just started last week, my biggest heartbreak was my 5th graders, like you guys have mentioned. They're the group of kids that I've worked with the longest. You know, I've only been there 3 years, and we also had this big journey to KMEA, and I was just really looking forward to celebrating them, and they put in so much work. So what I started doing is just sending little postcards. So this one says, I think you are a amazing student, and it's a llama. Lots of good puns. There's like whaley, missing you, all that kind of stuff. So I have found myself with a lot of extra time, and I've just been sitting down with a list of especially my 5th grade choir kids, and just saying, hey, here's what I love about you. Here's why you're going to do amazing in middle school. And, you know, keep singing, keep in touch. Because I have the extra time, and, you know, I found with like Zoom calls and things, kids get really nervous and they don't know what to say. So I felt like calling them on the phone and getting like one kid individually might make them panic. So I thought, if I can just send them a written thing that says like, hey, your music teacher is thinking about you. I haven't decided I'm going to do that for all 500 students yet, but definitely my 5th graders and my choir kids that I spend more time with. And that has been really good for my soul also, just feeling like I'm getting some interaction with kids that maybe aren't checking the online stuff.
That's awesome. I love it. Ashley, how about you?
Ditto and ditto. They're doing, and those are absolutely it. Commenting on everything that they say. Even if it's just, hey, I miss you. It's really nice to just say, hey, I miss you back. And it's important. Getting to hop on Zoom with their classes, is really fun. Their teachers are, you know, having those teaching moments and then hopping on, and the kids will openly share, you know, what they're doing musically, or when the PE teacher's in there, what they're doing to move and keep themselves active. It's just really neat to have those and see their faces. It's just really, really nice, and to keep me grounded as you know, as well as them, to know that, you know, they're there and they're still learning. But you know what Bethany and Taylor were saying, we're not having the kind of interactions that we wish we were with kids doing the activities that we have, and that's heartbreaking. That really is. It's not something we enjoy, and it's, even if we can just make that connection instead of that curricular connection, it's important.
Yeah, for sure. I love how you guys have been responding to every post on Seesaw or whatever posts they have on Google Classroom. One thing that I caught myself doing at first was just like copying and pasting, awesome, loved it, or something like that. But then I stopped doing that because I realized how much specific feedback has an impact on them, like calling them out by name and like picking out something that they specifically said or did in the video can go a long way as well. Justin, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, so many great suggestions so far. I think about it like as if this digital world was my building. I would want to be present. So I try to be as present as possible in what they are contributing digitally. Something I really like that a classroom teacher did was she made a writing prompt for a day to record a 25-second video of something you miss about whatever their special was that day. And they posted it on Flipgrid and included all the specials teachers on that. And I'm like, that was a really thoughtful thing for the classroom teachers to do. So for every kid that posted, I responded with a 20-second video about what I missed specifically about that kid in my class. And it seems like it took a lot of time, but I mean, it was 20 seconds for 20 kids. It took about 8 minutes per class. Times 24, it did get a little lengthy. But, you know, it made a huge impact on those kids because, like you said, that specific praise, I miss you specifically because you always came in with the best attitude and cracked the goofiest jokes, you know, and they really need to hear that. Collaborating with classroom teachers to drop in on a Zoom lunch when they have a lunch meeting, and trying to be included in as many as you can, you know, but while still giving yourself some self-care time. But I've hit every classroom so far. So and I post a weekly video in Seesaw just to say, hello, I miss you. Here's what we're doing this week. You guys are awesome. So that's what's worked for me.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that you guys are jumping in on homeroom classroom Google Meets or Zoom sessions, because my wife and I both teach in the same building. We've been trying to figure out the best way to do that. I'm going to steal that idea. That was great. Elise Hepworth was the one that kind of put all this together, and I'm just kind of running her little show. But she asked you guys to prepare like a successful project or something that you've been doing in your classroom, and to share that. So if you have prepared that, Taylor, Bethany, Ashley, and Justin, Taylor, did you provide or get a little document created?
Yeah, could you come back to me in a second? My computer is freaking out in a second, so
Yes.
come back. It needs to. I need a new one from the district. Let's just say that.
Sounds good. Bethany, do you want to share your little document?
Sure. It's nothing fancy. Let me share my screen here.
And presenters will take like 2 minutes per document or so to leave enough time for questions at the end. And also presenters, if you want to, in the chat area, you can actually upload your file and people can download it from the chat area if you want.
Is it working?
Yes.
Cool. Okay, so over here, I just put an example of something that I've posted on the Facebook page. So I started with a hello song in my video, one that all the kids know, and then we did, like I said, the kitchen band. So I showed them some of the sounds that I had found, some metals, skins, woods, and I had a link to a reel out of Remarkable Farkle McBride. So they watched that, and then they could do this Time for Music video with Lynn Kleiner and play their found sounds. And then, like I said, I also linked to some rhythm play-alongs on YouTube, which is like the highlight of their lives when we have extra time at the end of class and we get to do those. So like Taylor said, doing things that they love in music class anyway, and then kind of bringing it into this. So I loved, they're commenting and saying, here's our kitchen band, and mom got a break because they were focused on that too. So I loved that interaction. That's probably been my most popular thing that I have posted. And then I've linked you guys to that Facebook page if you want to friend us and follow any of that. There's Lynn Kleiner's video. I also linked Taylor Shaeffer. Holla. This is his Rebel Classroom website, and he has links to a lot of really good videos. And I followed that website during the school year as well because he has lots of fun lesson ideas. So go check that out. And then I linked to our continuous learning, what that looks like if you want to check in on the music lessons, those super cute postcards with all the amazing puns. And then here's an example of what we've posted in the youth chorus Facebook. So here's our hand washing songs, and then they just comment underneath. And then there's my email if you ever want to reach out about anything. I'm happy to help or hear your ideas as well. So that's it.
Awesome. I love it. So if you want to upload that to the chat, you can, or in addition to that, if all of you guys could send me your little documents, and then I'll put them all together in one document and put it in the MMEA Facebook group / also put it with this video. So awesome. Love it. Ashley, do you have a document you'd like to share?
I don't have a document per se, but I can take what I've put on our Google Classroom and our Seesaw, and I can copy that for you so that you can see it. What I would say is, as I mentioned, Music Play Online with Denise Gagne is amazing, and especially for the littles, I think it's really interactive for them, and it helps guide them through the lessons and with parents as well. So every week I will give them a new lesson to go through with their grade level 4 Music Play Online, and for right now it doesn't cost. But for the regular school year, it's about $150 for each teacher, and it's a phenomenal resource to be using right now.
That's awesome. I love it. Justin, how about you?
Sure. I'm gonna share my screen. So I just did. Can you all see it?
Yes.
Okay, so I just did a little pair deck. They kind of just check in on how they're feeling today. And welcome to music. This kind of gives parents a heads up on what they're going to be needing, gives them the link that they need for what they're doing. We're going to be learning about Mozart. They can share some facts or what they wonder about Mozart off to the side, and that can be submitted to me. They watch a short video about Mozart. It's 3 minutes, very kid-friendly. And then they're going to draw, especially for the littles who can't really spell just yet, 2 things they learned about Mozart, or type 2 things they learned about Mozart for the older kids. And they'll do a play along.
One of the great challenges in this world is knowing enough about.
Hey, we're not at school, so that's not a big heart attack this time. So anyway, they'll do a play along. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
You're fine.
Let me try that again.
It happens to me too whenever the tab is right by the stop share button and you try to hit the tab, but you hit the stop share.
Yeah, AV mute as fast as you can. So it's just a play along with musication. They can use, I think they used a Tupperware container, a spoon, and other various kitchen supplies. Something I did for my littles who maybe don't, or kids who don't have access to all that stuff, is they could just use note cards, also put it on the floor and use their hands and feet to tap the shapes as they come up. It's light, it's easy, it keeps the kids moving, and parents really appreciate how easy it is just to set up, and it still gets them feeling steady beat and following music. So that's what works for us.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Guitar Hero too.
It's a pretty upscale Guitar Hero.
I love it. I'll be stealing that idea. That's awesome. Cool. And then Taylor.
Yeah. I will share with you my screen. Let's see. I have 2 things to share with you really quick. Number 1, I want to go over to just what my lesson looks like. And that's in the way. There we go. So I kind of do this like kindergarten. this week 2 lesson. So I do our beginning song, because something that they know. A lot of these songs that we're doing is stuff that they've had prior knowledge of, so the parents can see them singing and enjoying the songs that they really like. I think that's important to show the parents how much their kids love music. Then I did some instructional videos that shows them some of the motions to the song that we had just done before spring break. And so that way the parents can also maybe learn it. I try and get them to get their family in on the activity as well, because I think music should be experienced as a family. And we learn a new song, which kind of goes into what a saxophone is, for kindergarten. So we're trying to add that. And if they don't have that video, that's fine, but it just gives a little extra to them. And then we review both songs, the second lesson of the week. And then I add a little bit of, in the Chi-Chi-Cha is Singing in the Rain. So I added the musical Singing in the Rain there to add a little bit of music, the musical. And the parents many times know that as well. So I'm trying to build any songs I pick. I'm trying to see, does the parent know that? Would they be able to sing that with the child? I think that's very important as well to bridge that gap. And so hopefully that the whole family gets involved in the music making. And then I did a book. I always do a book once a week, and baseball is a huge thing. I grew up in St. Louis Cardinals. So I always try to add something. So I did Take Me Out in the Ball Game. I did put Down the Cubs fans in that as well. So sorry. We have a few kids that we banter back and forth. It's great. Even as first grade, it's fantastic. And then we had a song that they got to sing with it. So that is one of them. And then I want to show you, Bethany had talked about my treble classroom, and I just want to show you something quick here. Not trying to plug, it's just I put a bunch of videos last week together of some resources of videos I found that I'm going to use that were in my playlist. And so I just put them on my website as a blog post. And so any ones that I found that were accessible, like this one right here that was just presented, I put a bunch of them, K2 videos, some that might be fun to add to your lesson. There's stuff on here, I'm going to do this with theme school. And then we have some music composition, which is more, for 5th grade, some Hans Zimmer and how he makes, Batman, Dark Knight, soundtracks. And then I have musicals down here as well to try to show some different things that, we're going to do a lot of physical stuff outside, but hey, versus looking at watching Netflix the entire time, how about you also broaden your horizon and watch a musical, So that's just something that I'm trying to give them different resources for that. So, yep.
That's awesome. And I don't think it's wrong to plug your awesome website. I use it all the time. I subscribe to it and
yeah. The only reason I said that was because you and Bethany said it was a good resource. So I was like, okay, well, hopefully it'll help someone here. Well,
cool. Well, thank you, presenters, for everything. And now we have a little bit over 10 minutes for questions. So I'm going to turn it over the floor to everybody else that's in this meeting. And if you have any questions for our presenters or for anyone or some different ideas that you have, you can either raise your hand like my alarm went off, raise your hand like this, or you can virtually raise your hand as well. So are there any questions for anyone? Beth. And then go ahead and unmute your microphone.
Yes, I just started talking. That didn't work. A comment about how we actually send our packets out. We actually are doing mostly paper packets, even though we're trying to get digital. Very high percentage of low income, no internet people. So the buses actually run the routes, and the teachers put all the packets together, and the kids will put their homework on the bus and take their new homework off. So parents that live out of town do not have to come and get the homework from town. But that's only for out of town kids. The in-town kids are required to come get theirs. So we've done that once already and planning to do it this coming Friday. So
That's awesome.
and then I do have a question too.
Yeah, go
real
for
quick. Do you guys have any trouble having the kids or parents upload new apps? Because, you know, Flipgrid, Google Classroom, whatever, do you have any trouble with the parents that say, well, I can't keep adding this one and this one and this one, my phone's already full?
Bethany, go for it.
I think, yes, I think families are just as overwhelmed as we are. And my specialist team, 2 of them are also parents of our students, and some grade levels have really pushed a bunch of new apps. Add Flipgrid, do this, go to this website. And as parents and teachers, they are overwhelmed. So they have technology capabilities and use these things in their classroom, but having to do it for their kids as well, they are overwhelmed. So we're really finding that sticking with stuff we were already using is where we're getting the most interaction. A lot of parents are just throwing their hands up and going, no, I can't add another thing to my plate right now.
Yeah. Justin, did you have something to add too?
I was going to actually kind of just echo what Bethany said. I know just from my kiddos at home, they have an app for math. They have an app for writing. They have an app for reading. And I mean, that balancing that out just as a parent is really, really challenging. So then also we're going to add these communication pieces. We're Zooming, we're seesawing, we're Flipgridding, we're Google Classrooming. So for me, in order to keep my sanity and to help kids and parents keep their sanity, I'm trying to find 2. What 2 can I use really, really well? Well, I'm using Seesaw all the time because that's what I push out most of my content on, and I can make videos there. And Flipgrid I'm using almost strictly to foster and maintain relationships. So I think it's important to just even say, pick 2, stick with those, and pick the 2 that almost all the kids are using. Luckily in my building, it just happens to be Flipgrid and Seesaw.
Yeah, I think kind of collaborating with the other homeroom teachers in your building and figuring out what they're using so that way you guys are all on the same page. I know like our parents receive 1 document per week. They receive a document that has their child's ELA, math, science, social studies, music, library, art, and PE. It's all on there, and some extra enrichment activities. So, you know, we send everything to the homeroom teacher and they put it all on there. So at least they have one go-to place for all their content. And then we're trying to use some of the same apps as well as our other homeroom teachers so people aren't getting super confused. Any other questions that we have out there? Or suggestions or anything? Bueller? Well, if that's it, presenters, do you have anything else you'd like to say? Any extra things?
Sorry, I forgot to raise my hand.
No, you're fine. Go for it.
I was that kid in school. Just know that everyone here is doing enough. I know it's really hard that because we're not doing 8-hour days or more, let's be real, that it feels like we're selling these kids short. This is something that has never happened before and hopefully never happens again. And I fell into the trap of saying I wasn't doing enough. We are doing enough. And just the fact that you took an hour out of your day to want to learn how to do more for these kids or enrich or educate yourself, it is doing so much. And we're just fighting the fight out there, and we are all doing a great job, and it's gonna get better.
Yeah, and I love that our awesome 4 presenters have all said that they're kind of, you know, trying to keep things as normal as they can. This is such a weird thing that is going on, but everybody has been, you know, handing out assignments that have songs that these kids are familiar with. They have different activities that these kids are familiar with. So keeping a sense of normal is so important for our kids as well. And even if we're in a district that doesn't have access to all this technology, you know, there's still a way to keep it semi-normal for our kids. So I think that's something to keep in mind as well, and to keep it simple. So any other questions? If not, thank you so much, presenters. You guys were awesome. Let's give them a virtual round of applause. Great job. And if you guys have any questions or anything, I'm sure our presenters or myself would be willing to answer. You can just message us, or presenters, if you could send me all of your documents, and I'll put them all together and maybe include your email address on that document as well, like Bethany did. That'd be awesome. Other than that, see you guys later. Thank you.